would just like to give them a synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that one that I get, if we're going to make photocopies,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good synopsis that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Really. But I'd like to elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 3 stories that I wrote while I was in the service. The first one was, say, my first encounter aboard a troop ship.
Okay.
My first trip overseas and my feelings on that ship, you know.
Okay.
And it's, maybe about 5, 6, 7 pages. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, how old were, I mean, so this is right when you first got in the service?
Yeah, this would be like, 19, what the heck, probably 42.
Okay.
1940, about 1942. And then I have another story about my trip from Honolulu, Hawaii to Sasebo, Japan, where I was going on occupation duty. So the things that happened to me on those ships was most interesting, you know, so I wrote about them.
Okay. What's occupational duty?
Huh?
What's occupational duty? You said you were going on occupational duty?
Oh, occupational.
So what, that was just to learn more about your position?
No. This was about a week after the big bomb dropped on Nagasaki. We went in there on occupational duty because the war was over. So then we landed in Sasebo, Japan, on the island of Kyushu, which is a big part of Japan. Kyushu, Kyushu.
Okay.
Well, anyhow, it tells of all the things that have happened, the sight on the horizon of from one end of the horizon to the other. I must have counted at least 75 warships.
Oh, wow.
You know, that we observed while they were going up to Tokyo, we were going to Sasebo. And what happened on the way, that we ran into a very severe storm, which is like a tornado, but over there they called it something else. Oh dear, what did they call it? Well, anyhow, whatever it was, we experienced that, and I was on duty at the time, and this was a LST. That's a landing craft for troops.
Okay.
And
during the storm you were on one of those? Oh boy.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, and I described everything, what was happening, like the LST was riding those big waves.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I remember this so distinctly because I was on the deck, and you'd almost have to tie yourself to the mast, by golly, to keep your footing, you know, because those waves are so terrific. I remember that boat would come into one of those waves and boom, 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 it would rattle, you know.
Yeah.
Then she'd hit another one and boom, 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 boom. And I honestly could say that the bounce was like 2 feet from I was on a fantail, which is the back of the ship, and this was the front of it, hitting those waves. Oh God!
Man, that must have been something.
It was.
Yeah.
And
is this at nighttime then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was nighttime. So I tell about that and the experiences, and I had a dog, a German Shepherd that was trained by the Marines to smell out Japanese people.
Okay. What was the dog's name?
Salty.
Salty?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually stole him because when we landed in Sasebo, I was in charge of keeping 16 radio jeeps in service at all times
Okay.
because they needed that for the MPs for patrolling the city and
Oh,
all
sure.
that. So, and I was in charge of the section,
Hmm.
keep those 16 jeeps in
What was your rank in the
at
military?
that time it was sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah. So the experiences I had in Japan then, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the family I met, the visits I had with them, and I honestly felt that if there's something like incarnation, you know what incarnation is?
Sort of.
Huh?
Sort of.
Yeah.
You mean
well,
like
anyhow,
reincarnation?
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
You come back as something else, as somebody else, and I was hoping that if there is a thing like that, and the good Lord says, "What do you want to be reincarnated to?" I would be pleased to be incarnated into a Japanese, honestly,
Why is that?
because the temperament, the ethics, everything about the Japanese, the way I knew them, visiting with that family, it was a family. It was a grandpa with two. Well, here I'm going off the track a little bit.
That's quite all right. Yeah.
Because this family that I visited, well, grandpa and mother and father, the father was a Japanese soldier.
Okay.
And he fought in, where the hell was that now? Well, anyhow, he fought the Chinese and not Mongolia, Manchuria.
Okay.
And he was telling me stories, and then I'd bring magazines because it was hard to communicate. The way I met them was with having gone uptown in Sasebo, there was a woman dispensing rice. And that looked odd to me, so I went up there and I started the conversation. She spoke English well, and she was a graduate of Tokyo University. So she was well versed in English.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, she didn't speak too well, but I should talk to her brother. And this was the soldier.
Okay.
He was a sergeant in the Japanese, and he fought the Chinese in Manchuria, you know. So I got pretty intimate with the whole family.
Okay.
With him and his wife and the kids. And when I left, we exchanged gifts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a nice experience for me.
How long were you in Japan? How long did you spend there?
Well, I think it was like 4 months at least.
Okay.
Let me see, September, October, November, December. Yeah, because a little over 4 months.
Mm.
Because of the rotation, I called it.
Mm-hmm.
I had enough points to get called back. Oh, and I got a story that I like to tell about Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been a millionaire today.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, God.
Oh, so?
Well, you see, working in that where I was taking care of these Jeeps, if something went wrong, they broke an antenna or needed some tubes or the volume wasn't right, I'd fix all that. And I had a space in a great big warehouse. Say if this is the warehouse here, it was like at least 60 feet wide,
Okay.
perhaps 100 feet deep. But I divided that, or they did for me, in 6 sections.
Mm-hmm.
So you could drive a truck right through there and stop at any one of those sections. And my section was way in the back here. So I needed parts, they'd deliver them and stuff like that. You know.
Okay.
Well, after you're there a couple of months, you kind of feel like you're caught up with your work and you're knowing all the angles. I wanted to clean up a little bit because there was a lot of junk in the corner. There was a huge tarpaulin. And I said, I got to get rid of that. So I uncovered it. I was going to take that tarpaulin and put it someplace to be scrapped or something. But as I uncovered it, I found 7 ingots. Now, being a radio man, 4 of them looked like solder.
Okay.
And 3 of them looked like copper. Because those were the metals that I dealt with every day, you know, in radio work and stuff like that. But actually, they were 4 slabs of silver bullion,
Okay.
and 3 slabs of gold. And I could tell they were gold because on the bottom part of the gold, it says Banca with a great big serial on it. Now, what they used that for, because this warehouse was all used for dinnerware and dishes and stuff.
Okay.
And they used to decorate the dishes with the gold
Oh,
edge,
sure.
silver edge, and
Yeah.
designs, you know, and that's why it was there.
That was the supplies that for making the dishes. Okay.
That's right. So, how am I gonna get this home?
Yeah.
Oh man! 3 slab bullions.
Yeah.
3 of those and 4 of silver.
How much would you say they weighed a piece?
Oh, I think about 30 pounds.
Yeah. So 30, 60, 90 pounds of gold?
90 pounds of gold.
Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad.
No.
What is it, about $1,000, $2,000 an ounce?
Now?
Yeah.
No, it's about $1,600 to $1,700 an ounce.
Yeah, so $1,700 an ounce, 16 ounces in a pound.
Oh my
So you can do the math.
And then now the silver today would be like $35 an ounce.
Yeah.
The silver.
Yeah.
So
what happened?
Well, how am I going to get this home?
Yeah.
You
Without anyone
So,
finding out.
Those were big hunks. I
Yeah.
said, well, maybe if I could just cut one. They were formed on top like a Hershey bar, you know, 3 sections.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, if I could just cut off one of those sections and fit it in my pack or something.
Yeah.
Because these seven of
Yeah.
them, now you multiply that by 30 pounds,
Yeah.
that's over 200 pounds. How are you going to get that, you know, in your sea bag?
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyhow, I was working on that when the Marine Corps says, hey, Leonard Kosminski, you got enough points, by golly, to go back. You're going to be discharged.
Oh.
I didn't have any way of preparing to put that,
Yeah.
anyway, to be shipped back. So I put it back and I covered it up with that tarpaulin in the hopes that when we left there, that chap that owned that factory would still find it. You know, that it actually belonged to him. So.
Yeah, so you didn't tell anyone else?
No,
Any of your friends or anyone else?
Nobody.
Okay.
No. I asked a fella, a chemist, on how you test for gold, even though I saw Banca on the bottom.
Yeah.
He said you have to have acid, this and that, and I said, oh, the hell with that. I know it's gold. You know.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, that's my favorite story
That is a good story.
in Japan. So on January 7th, I think it was, they shipped me back.
Okay.
And they just about thought of throwing the lieutenant over the board. You know,
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
On the way back, because I had a nice goatee
Yeah.
at the time I raised, because in Japan that's noted as mark of distinction.
Oh yeah.
Goatee.
Mhm.
And a beard like that would be called a hige.
Mhm.
So they called me Hige-san,
Mhm.
Mr. Beard. So Hige, but this damn lieutenant, just out of boot camp, officer training or whatever, he actually forced me to shave it off before I boarded the ship. And I was so upset with him. I said, if I get a chance, by golly, I'm going to throw you overboard. Oh, I was pretty cocky.
Yeah. So how old were you at that time?
Well, I must have been, let me see, 26, I think, or
Okay.
27. Yeah. No, was it that? No, I don't think it was that old. I can tell you in a minute. It was in 45, 46 in that area.
Okay.
But I have 3 stories like that I go into detail of what was happening to me at the time,
Yeah.
And you might just be interested in that. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I am. So you were mentioning one before about your boat ride, your first ship ride over.
Oh, yeah.
So is it boat or ship? It's ship, isn't it?
It was a Liberty ship.
Okay.
One of Henry, I forget his, the builder. He was actually an automobile builder. For the war, he changed to shipbuilding.
So were you drafted, or were you already in the service?
No, I wasn't drafted. I was deferred because my dad didn't have a job, and I was supporting the family.
Okay.
And that he was out of a job because he lost it during the Big Depression. So I was delegated to the status of 3B or something like that, where I was the head of the household. I was bringing in the income to support my sisters and my mom and dad, and I had 2 jobs at the time. But when my dad, after losing the store, he got a job, part-time job first, and then a full-time job. He had to go through a union to get that job. And then, of course, my classification changed to 1A. So, I had to report that to the draft board. And
because he got a job?
because my dad got a job.
Okay.
See, then he would become the head of the household. So that, I didn't want to get drafted because they would put me in the Army. And my sights were set by God to join the Marine Corps. And that's what happened. I joined the Marine Corps. I wanted to be with the best.
And how many years were you in? How many years did you serve?
All told, it was about 6.
Okay.
For World War II, I was in there for 4 years, and then I was in the reserves, and then I was on active duty the second time because of my military occupational specialty, they called it, MOS. I was a radar technician because I graduated from the Naval Research Labs in Washington, D.C. That's why I had that classification. So when I joined the reserves here, by God, I was one of the first 4 in the state of Wisconsin to be called back. But at that time, I had just lost my wife. We were married about not quite 3 years, and I had a baby girl that was about 14 months old. Now they call me back into the reserves.
Hmm.
That was a tough time in my life.
Not bad.
So my mother and dad took care, and my sister, your mother,
Mm-hmm.
took care of